Hi and welcome to Watch the Time and my comparison between the Seiko Monster and the Baby Monster. So the Baby Monster is actually a Seiko 5 Sports, and obviously the Monster, this is a second gen Monster. This is the Gen 2. I think the Gen 1 and the Gen 3 had more square markers, a bit like the Baby Monster we have here. The Baby Monster was a real sort of bargain for me because I paid just over £100 for it. And it, it had a little bit of damage. There's a few scratches on the glass and the bezel, but it kind of satisfied my need for a Monster for a little while. But that only lasts for so long, and now I've got a proper Monster. I'm really pleased with it because there are a few shortcomings with the Monster the Baby Monster compared to the Monster. Obviously the handsets are very similar, just different colours. Obviously these are two completely different colourways. The bezels are slightly different. You've got a much more intricate sort of bezel on the Monster than the Baby Monster, and there is a loom pip in the Monster as well. There is no loom pip on the Baby Monster, which it's a shame really, because there's obviously the little hole. There's an indicator there, which would have been perfect to put a loom pip in. Talking of loom, both absolutely fantastic. If anything, the Baby Monster's better because there's just more real estate for the loom to be applied. I'll put a loom shot here. As you can see, they both glow fantastically well. Really legible. You can actually see your way. These actually generate enough light to see your way in complete darkness. And as I say, the Baby Monster actually performs ever so slightly better in this regard. Obviously with the Monster, you've got these massive stainless steel guards around, sort of extending round to the crown guard, whereas on the Baby Monster you've just got a more conventional crown guard, but really chunky, really do protect the crown. Both have really nicely knurled crowns, ever so slightly different. The knurling on the Monster is actually a bit finer. The knurling on the Baby Monster is a bit more chunky. I like them both. I actually slightly prefer this one. It's a bit easier to keep clean. And then you've got that sort of protection, stainless steel protection around the top as well. So if you just look at the sides, obviously we've got a more highly polished case on the Baby Monster. The Monster is a more brushed effect. And we've got drilled lugs on the Monster, no drilled lugs on the Baby Monster. Quite similar case design, but obviously you can see the cutouts on the bezel sort of also match up with the case, whereas it's just a sort of a much plainer case on the Seiko 5, as you'd expect. Obviously the crown side is very different, but both work equally as well. No problems with either of those systems. So I've got these both on their supplied straps or bracelets, and you can see they're quite similar in design. The Monster seems to taper off a lot more than the Baby Monster, and the Baby Monster's clasp, if I just close it up there, is a much wider clasp. It stays the same width, actually gets wider all the way through, whereas the actual Monster has got a much narrower clasp. So you've got like these kind of step down, which I'm not overly keen on, to be honest. These sort of step down links on both sides to reduce it to the size of the clasp. It almost looks like they had a clasp that they wanted to use but didn't quite fit the bracelet, so they've just sort of made it fit, whereas the bracelet and the clasp on the Seiko 5 version, it's the same width all the way along. The only difference between the clasps really is that this has got a dive extension and this one hasn't, which is useful, but I don't know why they couldn't have kept it the same all the way through. But both work equally well and neither give me a problem. Just while I've got the watches at this angle, both have hard Lex crystals, but the Baby Monster is a dead flat and the Monster is a domed crystal. So you've got a little bit more sort of distortion effect going on the Monster as opposed to the Baby Monster. Okay, I'm just going to give you some size comparisons. So this is a bit awkward because of the way the case is and the bezel and the glass, but we're just going to go to the middle of the back of the case to the middle of the glass. 12.7 on the Monster and about 13 on the Baby Monster. So we're going to go across from there to there. 42.77. Bit more awkward on this. We're going to have to go from there to there. 42.3. It's about the same. And interestingly, we got 20mm lugs on the lug width on the Monster and 22mm on the Baby Monster. So let's see what they look like on the wrist. So there's the Monster. It's a big watch, you know you're wearing it, but this is my slightly bigger than a 7-inch wrist, sort of average. I think it works absolutely fine, no problems with that at all. It's not too big, it's not overpowering, it's quite comfortable, really like it. The slightly lower profile helps in the look. I think it looks a little bit more, not that this watch is elegant, you know, it's a Monster, but it's a little bit more refined. And I think overall it's a little bit more refined than the Seiko 5 version. If you look at the bezel, just the overall dimensions and design, but I really like it. And then you have the Baby Monster. Again, a big watch, but not overwhelming. There you can see it just hasn't got that kind of class that the Monster has got, but nevertheless, this is like a more fun watch. But really like it. If anything, this one feels ever so slightly top heavy, whereas the Monster doesn't. Just feels a bit nicer on the wrist than this one. But I like this when I'm wearing an orange t-shirt and I'm out by the river on the kayak, something like that. Doesn't matter about it getting knocked about. It's a great little watch for not a lot of money. Perfect timing, just coming up to 12 o'clock. And as you can see there, when the hands cover each other, you get a... Just like for the second hand to move out of the way. There you go. A couple of rocket ships for you. Going straight up. I think that's quite a nice touch. Let's just see what happens when the second hand goes past. See if that enhances the rocket ship look at all. I think the red one might. Boom. Boom. Lovely. So, which one should you get? Well, like me, if you want to satisfy your need but you don't want to spend a lot of money, the Seiko 5 Baby Monster is a really good option. If the lack of hacking and hand winding is a problem for you, then you're going to have to go for the Monster. It doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I prefer that it would have hacking and hand winding, but at the end of the day, it's no big deal. I've still enjoyed it just as much. This is a Gen 1 Seiko 5 Baby Monster, so we've got no screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistant, whereas the Monster is obviously a certified air diver, 200 meters. You're going to have no problems with this, diving, swimming, whatever. It's going to be fine. Some people might not like the fact that this is not a screw down crown. Personally, it doesn't bother me for swimming. I've taken this swimming, it's been kayaking with me, so it's been in fast running water. It's been sloshed about. I've had no water ingress or anything like that, so there's no issues with that. But I do understand that some people prefer the screw down crown for that little bit more sort of water resistance and the 200 meters that it gives you. But you're paying a premium for the Monster, probably 3, maybe 4 times as much as the Baby Monster, depending on what prices you pay for them. I paid about 300 for this one and just over 100 for this one, so I got, I think, good deals on both of them, and I like them both for ever so slightly different reasons. Obviously, if I had to sell one and keep one, I would keep the Monster and sell the Baby Monster, but the other reason I've got this is just fun with the orange dial. It's just, you know, a splash of colour on a nice sunny day. Absolutely great watch. This one you can sort of, would be a more everyday watch that you could get away with wearing it sort of on most occasions. Not necessarily a dress watch, obviously, but there you go. So that's my comparison between the Monster and the Baby Monster, 2 absolutely fantastic watches from Seiko. I love them both, and I've really enjoyed owning the pair of them. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate people that like, subscribe and comment on my videos. I've got over 60 videos now relating to watches. I'm dedicating my channel completely to watches and watch related things. I've got new watches coming in all the time. I've done reviews recently of several new watches. I've got another new watch that I've done the video review of. You can actually see it over there. That's coming up soon, and I've got another watch on the way, so plenty of new watches and reviews coming out all the time. So for now, this is Watch the Time. I'll see you soon. Cheers, bye.